Yeah, there comes a time when you have to be ready for the paradox. See? The paradox of life. You know or you don't know. And sometimes you cannot possibly know, what you don't know in a certain way. But you know that there's an affirming of all that at the same time that there is, let's say, the obvious denial of whatever the karmas could be in the moment. So, and that means rejection. So no, I'm acceptance. So already we are beyond acceptance, and the reality is beyond acceptance and rejection. See? And it's beyond change. So these things are obsolete conventions, to say the least. The reality is not about change, even though nature is constant change. But the paradox is that the reality is not about change. The reality doesn't change. You have to get that. That means you have to say that everything is changing because there's no change. There no change. Does everything change? Everything changes. That doesn't change. See?
Would you say that changing is no change at all?
Well, there is no change at all. There's clearly no change at all. Remember, you're born as a baby, and you have your sense of being, so being is the same continually throughout, regardless of what your body appears to be. So you can assert that you know the same being, you're being whatever you're being, and you've been as a living being all your days on earth, and you don't know exactly how you're going to be beyond that, so you can say, well, hopefully I'll be a non-physical being afterwards, and that would be safe to say. Right. We're going to keep being, but in what form? That depends upon us, the individual. So there's being into being into being, because there's infinite being, so if there's infinite being, this is just, let's say, one phase of it.
Then what survives the death? I mean, does something survive death in that sense to experience change?
Well, then you have to go to a basis where there's only light. And that's perhaps for physicists and atomic physicists, the fact of the matter, it's light. Now, of course, they'll say there's much more than that, but I think the safe way is it's just light. We are made of light, the universe is made of light, and fire, so to speak, light, energy, spirit, immaterial, but I mean, it is what it is, so it's real. Let's just say the real. So, the real light, the clear light. So yogis would call it the clear light. Clear light realization. It's a good proposition for anyone to conceive of. Clear light, you are clear light realization. Clear light realization is all there is. And this is a paradox, because it defies what we're programmed to believe of self-identification.
Is the clear light realization something that survives death?
It's already the realization, it has no form. It's not about surviving, as if you're trying to save yourself from knowing what the real is. Right? The real is going to have its way no matter what, because the real is the law that is the basis, for all processes in the universe. High and low. Everything is according to a certain kind of law, cosmic law, and there may be laws of one nature for one universe and laws of another nature for another universe. And somehow there's a intra and intergalactic or universal reality. And this is what I meant when I said earlier that the universe is being created right now, simultaneous to this one. Parallel universes and all kinds of things of that nature that have to do with our own particular mind. Perhaps it's an imagination, right? As part of the great imagination of the divine itself, cosmic imagination. And say, well, you have to think about that. Okay? All imagination. See, the all imagination.
Are we, in a sense, born confused about what is real and unreal, or is that something we develop?
No, I don't think the question is being born or not. Are you born?
We assume we are.
All right, so you took birth, basically. You took birth, that means you're going to die. Is there anything wrong with that thought?
not to me.
So it seems to be completely natural and culturally correct, but it's light. It's just light. If you're spirit first. You enter the body as a spirit, incarnate. That's what incarnation means. And then you leave. You disincarnate. So this is a universe of disincarnate spirits, ad infinitum. Have to wait for scientists to catch up with that. It's already known.
And so what we assume is real is, let's say, only apparently real?
Well, the real is the unreal. What matter is light, energy. And so this is what the physicists are saying as they move to higher levels of quantum intelligence. And just because, you know, the past 30, 40, 50 years, there's a certain breakthrough in terms of understanding. It's not going to hold up much, you know, for long. You know, it holds up for a time, and then it's blown away. We move beyond it as our energy forms or our life forms continue to progress into the etheric field, the etheric universe. And we bring that into this field, and people are able to progress as a result of that. You know, and start to feel more the etheric in their own case, which is the real world, say, you know, the subtle world.
It would seem that...
Well, we can say the atomic world, but even now there's subatomic world. So now they say there's subatomic world. So they don't even have words for it. They say subatomic world. So, you know, the infinite world is a better phrase. And this is what everybody has to deal with, not so much their personal stuff, but the cosmic. See? And so it's not really that hard to teach the cosmic at school. See? It doesn't take much but an introduction to we are the cosmic. See, we are that. We are the intergalactic, we are all of it at once, see? And we are human. So the human has to do more with the physical reality, and then the rest has to do with intelligence reality. And the more evolved we are, the more peaceful we are. Okay? And that's like a paradox. People can't comprehend that. Because I think evolution, in terms of material progress, is like more weapons and more destruction and more materialism and more blah, 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 blah. And so, yeah, for a certain type of species, yeah, a certain level of species in human nature, yeah, that's true for them. It's infinitely more than that. It's because you have the physical, you have the brute, you have the barbaric, right? You have the self-destructive. And then you have the self-transcending. And that's what we're talking about, the self-transcending. Not the self-indulging to destruction, but the self-transcending to the infinite.
So, in a sense, the material is a great denial of everything else that's going on.
Well, it's an obstruction. But that depends on your understanding and your function out here, because you can't say that to everybody. You can only say that when you're ready to say that, because it's real to you. And like you're just... And so that's the dilemma. You have to be you have to have self-realization. You have to be self-realized. And we don't mean that in terms of egoic anything, but in terms of your basic potential as being the universe itself. So how do you access that? How do you start to comprehend what that could be for you? See, when everything distracts you, everyone distracts you into suffering and victimization. And being your worst enemy. So you're not giving it, you know, an ordinary human's not giving himself a fair chance of recognizing their cosmic inheritance.
It would seem that being in survival mode, let's say, brings one to the material, but perhaps being in extreme survival mode might take you out of the material.
I would say the spiritual survival. That means from the light itself, see, from the very clear light itself, spiritual light itself. Yeah, it's going back to that, which is inevitable, because again, you're spirit first, you come into the body, you come into the terrestrial. As a celestial, right, you come into the terrestrial to go back to the celestial. There's no escaping it. So you have your moment of karmic payment here. This is purgatory, where you have these programs of believing you're one thing for a moment, or one person, one being for a moment, and because, or whatever the lineages you're born into, or the river blood line, or stream, or reality, time, line you're born into, or karmic line you're born into, national line you're born into, bloodline, whatever it might be for you, that's your reality. No, that's the starting point. It's not your reality, that's your base. That's what you have to get beyond already. That's the first step. That's what you step up and out of. You're still in the coffin, if you believe that. You're not out of the coffin yet.
So regardless of karma, would you say that all beings have an opportunity to experience the infinite or something beyond themselves?
The infinite is present. Right. Without the infinite you couldn't breathe. So breathe into your infinite sense of what it is. And that's a meditation in itself. A contemplation of the total as part of you. The finite relative to the infinite. Your body relative to the cosmic universe. Your personalized view of it relative to the absolute view of it. That's it. The no view of it. The no body of it. The no one of it. See? Which is truth. What's up?